Good evening, dear participants. Our resource person will be joining in a couple of minutes.
Ma'am, sir has come. Hold on, ma'am.
Yes.
Sir has come.
Good evening, Pahade sir.
Good evening, all of you. Big good evening, madam. A big good evening to all of you. Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, Pahade sir. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. Big good evening to all of you.
Sir, can we have a trial? Good evening, sir. Can we have a trial to share your PPT?
Yes,
Please.
definitely.
Please.
I'll be sharing my PPT.
Yes, sir.
Shall we start?
Yes, sir. Sankar sir is also present, sir.
Is the PPT to be seen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is.
Shall I start?
Yes, after formal welcome by Dr. Ramasubaya. He's the
Yeah.
moderator.
Sure.
Dr. Ramasubaya, can we start? Sir is ready.
But, can we wait 2 more minutes? It's 3:59 now. Or 4 o'clock.
Sir?
Sankar sir is there. Sir, shall we start?
Yes, we can start.
Sankar sir, unmute. Co-host, Sankar sir. Sankar sir. Co-host with the
Evening, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Pahade sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good
We are
afternoon.
very eager to listen to our president. And these are, I see, people from Madurai and Thoothukudi are people with high expectations and also with high rewards also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the
The
compliment.
resource persons so far have been, I think, what do you say, Mr. Ram Subaya and Dr.
Sir, it's widely accepted, sir. Widely accepted, well received, and every time the speaker is keeping raising the bar, sir.
We were trying to emulate our president.
Excellent, sir. That is news to us. Thank you, sir.
We have a wonderful team.
Yes,
It's
sir.
pan India,
Yes, sir.
and people are willing to contribute to make this nation a better place. They are willing to join. In a sense, we feel cluster has created a small change that teachers have started sharing. And that is the big thing. That's the big success of cluster. That's what I feel.
Yes,
So, well, good afternoon to all of you, and we can start.
yes. Now we have 200 participants, sir. Yes, sir. Ma'am, shall we start? Golden ma'am? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now it's 4 o'clock now. Good evening to all the learned participants. Thank you for your enormous and continuous support. This is the 4th day of the 7-day faculty development program. And we must, on behalf of the host institutions, we extend a warm welcome to all the learned participants. At the same time, we express our gratitude to all of you that you are closely following us, and nearly 700 participants every day attending this faculty development program. And we understand that it is an odd hour. It is odd hours. In spite of the odd hours, now 700 roping and bringing in 700 participants across the country, it is a difficult task. Yet you are giving us your enormous support, for which we express our gratitude to all the learned participants. At the same time, we extend a warm welcome to all the participants here. And on behalf of the host institutions, I extend a warm welcome to our mentor, our friend, philosopher, and guide, Dr. Sankar sir, who has been with us for the last 3 days and representing IQAC Cluster India. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have discuss today effective documentation and streamlining documentation. I have been this IQAC coordinator for the last 6 years, I believe. And this documentation is a big challenge. It is a Herculean task, and it is challenging. It's a big process. It is a challenging task to any IQC coordinator of any college, but at the same time, it is the need of the hour because all the institutions are forced to go for assessment and accreditation. And it is because of that we wanted to have this documentation today. And when we approached the Cluster India, and Sankar sir strongly recommended Sir to be the right person to present on documentation. He has strongly recommended an illustrious and eminent professor. I'm extremely happy to introduce this illustrious professor, Mr. Peeyush Pahade. Peeyush Pahade, who is an associate professor and heading the Department of Zoology of HV Devasthale College from Pune. And dear ladies and gentlemen, I would like to briefly introduce our speaker today. He has put in 3 decades of experience as an academician, and he has published 10 research papers in the international journal, and he has also presented a number of papers in national and international conferences. And he also published 8 books in biology, zoology, and biotechnology to his credit. And I'm surprised to read, I'm surprised to know when I was going through his short profile, and I could understand that he's the founder member of IQAC Cluster India. And he's such a multi-faceted personality in a sense that he's a soft skill trainer, and he's associated with a number of industries. And it is something incredible when you come to know about him that he conducted more than 2,000 workshops. He has conducted more than 2,000 workshops on 7 habits of highly effective people, covering this unbelievable, my dear friends, covering 1 lakh participants in the last 1 decade, the last 10 years. And my friends, there is a saying in English, is there is tumbling, more and more skeletons are tumbling out like that. You see that he is a teacher by profession and a trainer by passion. And he's the most sought after teacher trainer. He's the most sought after teacher trainer, trained 30,000 teachers, spending 2,000 clock hours. So amazing, sir. Then besides this, he is a subject expert, board member, and interactive module developer. And then, my dear friends, please make use of him, as Sankar sir rightly said, make use of his assistance, make use of his help, because he is helping many institutions in documenting process, policy writing, academic audit, website standardization, institutional SWOT, and other need-based standardization of process in academics. My dear friends, make use of this service, make use of this Cluster India, and people who have not come across this Cluster India. And this is a request to Lily Golda, ma'am. Please post this. What is it called? The link in the chat box, so that the members can become the participants can become the members of this Cluster India. And I'm extremely happy. As one of the conveners of this program, I'm extremely happy to be associated with the Cluster India. And at the same time, I'm extremely happy now, grateful to Sankar sir introducing such an eminent person to us on documentation process. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely delighted to introduce this eminent professor Peeyush Pahade and extend a warm welcome on behalf of the participants, on behalf of the host institutions also. Sir, we look forward to listening to you, and please take over the session. Thank you so much, sir.
One small sentence, please.
Yes, sir.
He's a doctorate in zoology. He married a doctor, but he is married to his profession, you see, of training us and motivating most of us.
Excellent.
Thank you. And every time I eagerly look forward to listening to Pahade sir.
Yes.
Welcome, sir, on behalf of both these colleges, Madurai and Thoothukudi colleges. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will start immediately. Thank you very much for a wonderful introduction. And we will start with the session immediately. I'll share my presentation. And even before I share my presentation, let me just share one experience before we go for the presentation. I was in one of the big brand colleges in Mumbai. And this is a story 2 years ago. And the IQAC coordinator there, who was young, she had invited and she wanted me to interact with their senior staff members who were into IQAC. And as the discussion progressed, one of the very senior members who were there, who was also the vice principal over there, she said, why do we need IQAC and why do we need documentation? I said, what do you think should be the reason for documentation? And she said that, well, when office can collect documents, why should IQAC collect the documents? And she was such a senior member, and it made me feel very surprised. Very often I keep on hearing this. Why should IQAC collect documents when there is a dedicated office that takes care of documents, or there is an admin section that takes care of documents? An admin section will take care of documents so that it needs to keep the documents. An admin section does not analyze the documents. It does not say how many students we had in 2020, in now 2021 and 2022. An admin section does not look into how many students had passed out at the end of 3 years in 2020, in 2021, and 2022. An admin section will store the document, will keep the document, will provide the document. An admin section does not analyze the document. If they had analyzed the document, then they would have told that for the past 2 years, we are having lesser number of admissions of girl students. They can at the most say that last year we had so many, we have the same number of students, but they perhaps may not be able to tell why the number of girl students is dwindling down or why the number of girl students is increasing in our college. Documentation that IQAC needs is for analysis, and therefore it becomes a necessary evil. We feel very bad to request people, and we feel very hurt when people don't listen to us. This is a very tricky area where we are going to ask, or we ask our colleagues to submit documents. And it was a very, very long journey and a very difficult journey for me, even in my organization, to convince people to see to it that documents come at time, in right place and in a right way. So the purpose of having documentation by IQAC is not to collect the papers, not to dump them in the office, not to make your office rich in number of files. Instead, to analyze them, to see to it that it is the quality control section or quality section of the institution. What the quality circles would do, what a quality or HR department would do in the industry is what is expected from IQAC. And this is where the role of IQAC is far different from all the other committees or the bodies that are present and working in the institution. If we understand this, then understanding documentation will be very easy. If we think that we are here to collect the documents, or we are here to prepare the report for which we need a document. Perhaps there is no difference between the admin block and we. Until and unless an IQAC is an analytical body, a critically analytical body, shameless to say itself that we are not doing very well, an organization will not progress. And therefore, it needs an analytical team. It needs a technology team. It needs young soldiers and the old warriors together, so that the organization analyzes itself and becomes a better organization every day. With this brief introductory note, let us start with a small presentation that I have. This will be a kind of a workshop that we are going to have at one point of time. Lily madam has already, Golda madam has already provided all of you the documents, and I had requested madam to tell everyone that they have a hard copy of it. Documentation is the art of preserving work, creating a document and preserving a document, retrieving a document. Look at this statement. To me, documentation is a love letter you write to yourself, that is your future. If you are good today, you will love it tomorrow. If you are not good today, there will be a problem tomorrow. And that problem will be for us only. So future counts. Future is the most important aspect that plays a role over here. And because we all are teachers, we love the definitions. And then this is the definition that comes through internet. Documentation is defined as the process of classifying, annotating text and related materials. The material provides an official information or an evidence or as a record, etc., etc., etc. And this reminds me of the word called record over here. There are two terms that we keep on making a mention of. Number one is a document and number two is a record. Document applies to the word document as well as to the record, whereas record applies to the word only as an official document. What does that mean? If I am writing down, for example, when this event gets over, the IQAC coordinators will write down a report. They may write down the report today, even before the activity is over. They may write down the report after 8 days. That means they can write down the report anytime. 2 days, 4 days, 8 days, 10 days, 15 days, anytime. But then there is a second document. When I am delivering this session, it is getting recorded. That recording cannot be done after 8 days. You can hear it. A record is time bound. An invitation letter, a Thanksgiving letter, an attendance, a photograph, all these are records created that minute when the event is going on. And a document could be a general statement which may include a record or which may not include a record. A document, therefore, can be created, whereas a record is generated. Generation is time bound. creation may not be time-bound. NAC assesses records. Documents support records. I'm repeating. NAC checks the records. Documents support the record. I'm saying the records will be checked. Documents are just going to support the records. And therefore, you're able to see when the report is read, we start looking for the proofs, that is the records. This is a big thing that we need to understand. If we don't understand this, we keep on saying, why is it that whatever I have given, NAC has not accepted it? It is quite possible that you have given a document and NAC is asking for a record. So therefore, when we look at documentation, there is one thing that we find, and that happens to be the bad documentation techniques in India. What are the Indian documentation methodologies? That is, bad documentation methodologies. These are some of them. Number one, no documentation. Very often I keep on hearing, "Neki kar darya mein dal." That is, do good and put it in the, throw it in the sea. Don't keep on counting it. But if you don't count it, you don't understand how much good you have done. There is one more very important Indian concept, that is the tomorrow concept. We will do the documentation tomorrow. And tomorrow does not arrive. And therefore documentation is not done. There's a third very popular loving statement. It's not my job. Its modification is, why me? Now, since you have asked me, I'm giving you, it comes with a data incorrectness. It comes without accountabilities, no signature. Who has given? We don't know. No name, we don't know. Proofs that are provided are absolutely incorrect and illogical. I recollect when the NAC process was going on in 2012, one of the lady professors, who was a very senior professor, she came to me and said, "Sir, take this." I said, "What is this?" "This is a rickshaw bill." I said, "Why? What does it relate to?" "I had conducted one program 2 years ago." I said, "So?" "That time I had come by rickshaw." I said, "So?" "But then that time I did not get the rickshaw bill. I had lost it." I said, "So? So now I found it. So now you reimburse that money to me." Now this is an illogical proof that comes into picture. Then you are able to see distortion of facts, confusing, unclear, vague statements that are made, bad preservation of a document, keeping it in a wrong location, using technology without its knowledge. All these make up the jugaad concept. Kuch bhi karke kuch bhi karne ka. Do something. Because you have asked, I have given. Trust me, our records say a good college loses about 20% of data. It means if you have done, let us say 100 activities in a year, 20 are not getting represented properly. They cannot be counted. If 20% data is lost in 1 year, in 5 years, we have lost the data of 1 year. That is, if a college was to get A grade, now it is going to get B++ grade. If it has lost 30% of data, it has come to B+. If it has lost 40% of data, it has come to B. And therefore, data loss, if it is to be avoided, good documentation techniques play a very important role. These are the reasons why we avoid documentations. We feel negligent in keeping it. We are negligent to keep the documents. We are least interested in creating it. Create ही नहीं करना है तो रखने की बात ही नहीं आती. If you don't create it, I will not keep it. Even when a document is created, over a period of time, it needs to be updated. We don't do that. It needs to be purified. A document, a pure document, will give you a complete value. But the process of purification is very tedious. The big thing is we don't know where we are going to use it. We are unaware of its importance, and so we don't document. The security of the document is a big part. There is no guarantee that the document that has been created very properly will live for 5 years. It may get lost. Technological barrier is one big part that you are able to see. Not knowing the methodology of NAC, for example, is one big reason as to we don't know how to create a document. And the last part is that we have a taboo of documentation. No, we won't do that. And therefore, you are able to see we try to avoid documentation. And you will find this on a gross scale, pan-India. Wherever you go, you find these reasons only. Why no documentation? And in the 5th year, we want to go for NAC and we want a A grade. This is the area where we start losing out. We have lost 20% each year, and now we are saying, how can I get the best grades? Very, very commonly, I keep on hearing the statement, we had done this, but we don't have the records. We did this, but there is no student attendance taken at that time. If you don't have the document, it only means you haven't done it. You may have spent money, you may have done many things. If you don't have the right document, if you don't have the records, it means you have not done it. And therefore, what does the document do? This is where we come, where we had started. It records the past. A document records the past. It states the current situation. It predicts the future. The student number is dwindling. It means next year it is likely to fall down further. It means it will help you to plan for tomorrow. If we are going to follow our documents, if we have created them well, that is the best material for study. You don't need experts from the market to teach you documentation. Your documentation will tell what is going to happen in the future. It is likely to be 95% correct. A good documentation will regulate the inadequacies. It is a guarantee of availability of resource all the time. And believe me, documentation is the heart of the organization. If we ignore it, an heart attack is for guaranteed. That is a bad grade in NAC. It's an heart attack. And then the poor IQAC coordinator and the principal, these are the only two guys who need to be hammered. Because anything good belongs to everybody. Anything bad belongs to someone. Should be responsible, and therefore these two people are not given the responsibility. They are overloaded with responsibility. Our IQAC coordinator was very bad and our principal does not know anything. These are the only two things come when a bad grade comes into picture. If a good grade comes, I did this because of me. So what does a document do? Documentation is the heart of the organization. Do we take care of our heart is the real issue that we are going to talk about. I'll spend 1 or 2 more minutes on why documentation is important for IQAC. It is the advertisement of your work. This is the big thing that I want to tell you. Secondly, an employee should not be a mind reader. What is possibly going on in in the thoughts of the organization. Our document will tell. How is it to be implemented? I always give an example in policies. In big organizations, you will find that admission process is done by many people and people keep on changing. But if there is a written policy and it is being followed very carefully, a person who has joined yesterday will also be able to be in the admission process just as effectively as a senior teacher would be. Primarily because if your policies are written down very well, it cuts down the operational ambiguity. Policies, processes, and SOPs. Policies come from the top and they go down to the bottom. What is to be done with a Divyanga student? Whether he should be given an admission for free, whether he should be given a concession, whether he should be told that even if you don't come to the college, it's okay, we will take care of you, we'll provide you the notes. Or what is it that comes from the top? How to take care of it comes as a process, and how to implement it, that is from bottom to top, that is called as a SOP. Documentation includes all these levels, and therefore it cuts down the operational ambiguity. As I told you, documentation is an excellent training material if it is being kept in a proper way. It is a wonderful tool for analysis. If it's a training material, it's going to come with an analysis. It helps us to create best practices. We understand the lacunae, and so we try to overcome it. There a best practice comes into picture. And therefore, tracking the improvements becomes all the more easier. Year-wise, you are able to see progress taking place. Tracking it becomes very easy. Something very important, good documentation helps us to make more money. I wish to give you one deliberate example of one of our advisors. Dr. Badrunisa, who is an advisor for IQAC Cluster. She is working with Krupanidhi group of institutions in Bangalore. And she had told us a story that when the quality department came into picture, over a 3-year period, the admissions that were hardly 60%, they became 100%. Because the IQAC put in a lot of efforts on how to see to it that admissions increase. Keep in mind, for an institution, increase in the admissions, especially a private institution, every admission is linked to money. And 100% admissions would mean that ample money. These processes were made better by the quality department of that institution, and it led to increase in the number of students, increase in number of programs, increase in number of courses, increase in funding. Quality is there. That is how quality starts mattering out. And lastly, good documentation shows that you are a professional organization. I wish to give you one example. A few years ago, I went to ICICI and then said that I want to have my account. With a smile, they said, please join. The form was filled by them only. They asked me some information. The form came in front of me. I signed the document. My photo was taken. That photo came on the ticket. All my data was created over there. My phone number, my email address, and whatever. Within a short while, before I left, the card was made available. Along with it, the debit card was made available. Along with it, the passbook was made available. Along with it, some passwords were given to me. Everything was over within 15 minutes. The operational ambiguity has been cut down. All those things that because the banker knows people don't like to go in the bank. So everything is provided. This makes the organization a very professional organization. Next time you try to deal through them only. So here you are able to see how documentation plays an important role. But now I'm coming to NAC. This is the process of NAC that we need to understand, and then we'll go to the teachers. I'd like to share one metric that has been kept in over here. This is one of the metrics that NAC has given to us. It is 5.1.1. This question makes a mention. Question is called as a metric over there. Average percentage of students benefited by scholarships and free ships provided by the government in last 5 years. Now look at this. What is NAC saying actually to us? NAC is actually telling us, just 1 minute. NAC is actually telling us that how many free ships and scholarships have been provided by the college from the government. This is called as the metric, the question. Now, how do we operate with this particular question? This happens to be with every numerical question, numerical metric, QNM. You get the first step, which is called as the information. You are able to see over here, the information is what is asked over here. This is the information. The information comes in the box. 2021, there were 789 students. 2019, there were 684 students. 2018-19, there were 566 students. 17-18, there were 532 students. 16-17, there were something like 408 students. In NAC SSR, something of this sort comes in. This is information. Filling up these boxes is information. We feel this is the proof. हमने लिख दिया ना, we have written down the numbers. These are only numbers. To support these numbers, a data sheet is provided. If you are saying that there were 789 students, then in that case, in that year, you are able to see this chart comes into picture. Year, name of the scheme, number of students benefited, number of students benefited by institutional schemes, etc., etc. All this material that you are filling up over here, which is in yellow, is the data. It is not the proof. I am only telling the name of the student. I am only telling you the number of the student. I am giving you the amount received by the student. This is the data that I am providing. This data comes in an Excel sheet. This is DATA data. In other words, level 1 was information. Level 2 is data. NAC uses the data. This data is compared with the information. You made a mention in 2021, 789 students have got the fellowship. Who are those 789 students will be the list that they will ask for. You'll have to give that list. You giving the list does not mean it is a proof. The list is not a proof, the list is still a data. Now you are saying that government has given them this money. What is the proof? It would come on the government website. When you download it, you will be getting the list of students with the name of the scheme of the government. For example, in Maharashtra, it is MahaDBT. That DBT will provide the list. Something very fantastic happens in MahaDBT scheme. When you download it, it does not come with the name. of MahaDBT. It again becomes a data. So you have to go to that particular site and you have to take a screenshot of it, and that screenshot is pasted out over here. Then it becomes a proof because it has the name of MahaDBT. It has the number, the student number who has got that fellowship. It has the details of the college, and then it has all the details of the students. That screenshot of the government website is now going to be the proof. Maybe there can be a proof that the amount has been deposited, and there can be other proofs. But NAAC checks us at 3 levels: information, data, and proof. Information must match with the data. Data must match with the proofs. If information, data, and proofs match, then NAAC accepts the document. I'm saying this primarily because we are going for NAAC. We are giving the data. How can it be pure? And therefore, NAAC has to check it in a multiple way. Do you know? NAAC checks our data with us. NAAC will check our data with us only. That would mean that today I have sent SSR. That's the information that they have got. Then they will check our data with the NIRF that we have filled up, with the ICT that we have filled up. If there is a big discrepancy in these numbers, then there is a problem. Discrepancy comes because we fill this data at different times of the year. And therefore, the data to be filled in all these agencies, whether it is a university, whether it is a college, whether it is ICT, it has to have the same information. That makes the document a better document. Now, after looking into this, let us come to individual documentation and creating an accountable documentation. We will be going for this particular accountable documentation now. What we will be doing is, I have provided you the sheets. I will put the sheet on the screen and then we will start working with it. So I request you to just wait for a second so that I can open the right document and provide it, showcase it on the screen. It is quite possible that there may be a small change in the document. Some small changes may take place over there because they are constantly being updated, but you will still get the feel of it. Just 1 minute. Because we all are teachers over here, I am taking documentation that relates to a teacher. So we will be looking into a documentation that relates to the teacher, and we'll try to fill up the document. Normally, when we talk of a teacher, the teacher has 4 duties. The first duty is teaching, learning, evaluation. The second duty is the community connect through the students. Criteria 3. It is the community connect that comes through the students. In other words, our students are going into the society and are connecting our teachers and our institution with the community. Any course, any program that is without a community connect is a bad program. Because we are studying so that the organization, so that the nation benefits. The third happens to be research. It is training the student for research and writing a research paper along with the student. I am repeating it out. Every time when I talk about research, teachers say, we don't have time. No time. We have to teach also, we have to look after the syllabus also, we have to check the journals also, we have to do this also, we have to do that also, we have to do this also. And now, from when will I do? At what time will I do research? So what the lady is saying or the teacher is saying is absolutely right, because now the teacher is going offshoot from the mainstream. Whereas the research needs to be a mainstream process. It would mean that if there are 20 MSc students in a classroom, 20 projects given to the students are going to be, or 10 research projects that are going to come to 10 students is going to be a part of your academics. Look at the fun. I wish to give you one example. Pune has one wonderful engineering college called as COEP, College of Engineering. College of Engineering 2 years ago prepared satellites, and these 7 or 9 satellites were launched by ISRO along with its main satellite. What did the teachers do over there? The teachers kept on working on the satellite along with the students. Then what happened? Students passed out. The work was half done. The next student who came in was given the same work and the work continued. It continued for the next 4 batches. At the end of the 6th batch, the satellites were ready. What did the teacher and the institution do in this process? The research papers kept on coming along with the students. The work that was a part of the syllabus became a part of the work also over here. So teaching learning was not different from what you're researching. The teachers and the students came out with a very large number of research papers, and at the end of 5-6 years, the satellite was launched. They not only created a satellite, but they also created a big connect between the existing students and the alumni. Trust me, the immediate alumnus is the leader of the student who is going to pass. And therefore, a chain of students and alumni came into being, which will be extremely useful for them in the future. In other words, research is not something out of space. Research is something that relates to our teaching learning process. So that is the third job that a teacher does. Teaching learning, evaluation, community connect, research, and the fourth is in-house activities. These in-house activities would be working in the community, working for the college, working with a variety of committees, doing the college-related works. These are the only 4 jobs that a teacher does. And therefore, if documentation is done with what you are doing, documentation becomes very easy. Now what we will be doing is, we will be actually taking some basic documentation that a teacher has to do. I am going to dictate you some things like and you are going to take them the way I tell you, please look at this particular form that I am giving you. Please come to this form number, document number 1. Teacher's activity report. It may be like this or it may not be like this. This is a little more modified version. But you have a form of document number 1. Please come to it. I have requested you to have a hard copy of it. Now you start filling up this hard copy. Please take your pen and this particular sheet. If you don't have the sheet, I have kept it in front. We will go the way I tell you. We conduct a variety of activities in the college, and a report has to be created. An objective report needs to be created. This is how you can create one. Let us say teacher's activity report, academic year dash. It is, let us say 21-22. Please write down. Name of the activity. Today itself I had conducted a session on 7 habits, what sir was making a mention of. A physical session, and so I just reached 10 minutes before we started. So, name of the activity, whatever activity you have conducted for your students is to be put up over here. It could be a guest lecture, it could be a visit, it could be anything. Write down. If you have written that down, now let's go ahead. Whether it was an activity of the department or a committee or a club, write down the name of that particular activity. Write down the name of that particular activity. If you have written down the name of that particular activity, now come to on what date was it conducted. These are some very raw basics that we miss out in the reports. So number 1, whatever is the day and date that needs to be mentioned out over here. Let us say it's today's date. So please write down today's day and date. Thursday, 21st of April, 2022. Where was that activity conducted? It was hall number 101. It was online activity. It was offline activity. I'm saying it was being conducted in the commerce lab. It was being conducted in the audio-visual hall. It was conducted in classroom number 101. Venue. It was a visit. It was conducted at that particular place. Write down the details. Number 3. At what time was it conducted? It was from 4 to 6, 2 to 3. It was a day-long activity. It was an activity for 2 days. Still time can come in this particular way. Please write down that time. Now there is something called as an IQAC document. Please don't do anything to it. We will look at it later on. Now, how many students were present for this activity, or how many participants were present for this activity? So write down the number of participants. You may write down currently, because it's a dummy document that we are creating. Let us say 80 participants were present. What was the nature of that activity? Whether it was outdoor, indoor, online, whatever it is, please write down. What is the type of activity? Whether it's an academic activity, it was related to teaching, learning. Whether it was a community-based activity, you went into the community and did some work over their extension. Whether it was a soft skills course that you have conducted for the students, student progression activity or student support activity. It's a student support activity. Or maybe it is giving a job to the students, so it could be student progression activity. It may be an environment-based activity, it may be a gender-based activity, it could be a day, it could be an enrichment activity, it could be anything else. Whatever you feel it is, tick mark it or write it down. These are the parameters that NAAC needs. So we will just go on tick marking it out. Many colleges have a planning, whether it was a planned activity or it was not a planned activity. That is a scheduled activity or not a scheduled activity. If it's a scheduled activity, then tick mark scheduled. If it's an unscheduled activity, write it down and tick mark unscheduled. Whether it was what kind of money was provided, whether there was a funding source, whether college only had given the money, whether it was sponsored, whether it was an NGO activity, whether it was an industry activity, whether it was an exchange program, whether it was a government-based activity, what was it? Others, anything. Write down. What was the amount sanctioned for this particular activity? And if there was a chief guest, write down the name of the chief guest and give the details of the chief guest. All these details are a must in the report. When I made a mention, there is a 20% data loss. 20% of data loss takes place in this particular area only. Because we don't fill up these basic details, they are not counted by NAAC at any point of time. We keep on wondering why NAAC, which activities were cancelled by NAAC. Some of these, because this data was not being filled up, is not provided, is not reflecting in the proofs, therefore it is not being accepted. Once we have filled up this data, we need to have some more information. In which criteria does this activity go? And if you don't know the criteria, you ask the NAAC coordinator. In this particular sheet, I have given you for reference over there at the bottom, you can see it. Criteria 1 is so and so, 2 is so and so, 3 is so and so, 4 is so and so, 5 is so and so, 6 is so and so, 7 is so and so. The activity that you have conducted where possibly it fits. Maybe you don't know everything about IQAC or NAAC, it's okay. Your IQAC coordinator or somebody knows it. You can ask them, but currently just circle it, tick mark it, do it something. Once we have filled up this data, we come to something called as brief information. What is the name of the topic, name of the subject of the activity? Please write it down. Why are you conducting this particular activity? So objectives of the activity. It could be one statement, one line statement, so that students understand the share market. What was the method that was used to conduct that activity? Oh, it was a guest lecture. It was a visit. It was an interaction. It was a presentation with followed by questions. Whatever is the methodology. What were the outcomes of that activity? Objectives are before you conducted the activity. Outcomes are after you conducted the activity. So it is quite possible that you have found one more outcome besides your objective. The students became highly aware about the markets. What is the proof? They have started their own share market accounts outcome. Now, what are the proofs that you are going to give with this document? It means that this sheet is going to be on the top, below which the proofs are going to be attached. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then that document becomes a solid document. What are the proofs that can come in? Notice may come in, letter may come in, student list of participation may come in, activity reports will come in, geotagged photos are necessary that can come in, feedback forms are necessary, feedback analysis is necessary. Maybe you have given a news clip in the newspaper. Maybe any certificate has been provided. Maybe there can be some other proofs also. So whatever proofs you have given, they need to be tick marked or written down in this sheet. Now, once this work has been done, it goes to the IQAC. इसके नीचे सारे documents है, all the documents are under it. So this is an index page of the document, of the sheet. Now, I wish to tell you the 2008 to 2010 period of me as an IQAC coordinator. It was as good as I used to come home and I used to feel like weeping. Kya karu? I did not understand. Every day, I had to read everything, and something very fantastic. An activity conducted in 2006, and now I am to write down about it. I am to prepare a report, and I am not able to get who has written this activity. What has he done? At the end of the report, you find something. Okay. Then you ask the teacher, he says, that time I had done something, but I don't remember what I had done. Now, with this kind of documentation, the only feeling that an IQAC coordinator is to, if it's a 5-story building, jump from the 5th story. And if you don't want that to happen, have such a kind of an index page, which gives you everything at a glance. So this document gives you everything at a glance. Now, what does the IQAC do? IQAC puts a number to the document. Every document should be numbered. For example, in this year, let us say 2021, the college has conducted 100 activities. MIFE was the first activity, so I will write down 1. Who conducted this activity? I'm here. IQAC document number that you are able to see. Who conducted this activity? This activity was conducted by Peeyush Pahade, PMP. To which department he belongs to? He belongs to Zoo department. And in which year was it conducted? It was conducted in 2021. This becomes your document number. It would mean that the next activity is by Dr. Ramasubaiya. So that would be 2/RS/Commerce/2021. 3, 4, 500, whatever that number comes on. You have numbered the document. The same number is now going to come at the top over here, IQAC document number in that particular sheet. That is going to remain at the top, because the minute you see the number, you understand from where the document has come out. Once this has been done, then in that case, in which criteria does it come? IQAC will tell. Whether it is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. If the IQAC is well trained, it can even go to metric. It is 1.3.1. It's an enrichment activity. It will come in over there. Then you can, even IQAC can number the departmental files. All the activities of 2021 will go in file number 5. File number 5 of chemistry, file number 5 of zoology, file number 5 of commerce, file number 5 of whatever it is. So commerce activities are in file number 5 of commerce department, and they are going to remain in commerce department. This list is with IQAC. That would mean that the documentation would get standardized. Sitting here, I will be able to tell you will get this document over here in your department. Joe, find file number 5. eighth document is your document. This is what is for filing. So this filing becomes uniform and finding the document becomes very easy. We were talking about retrieval mechanisms. This is a part of that. The sheet, you're not going to keep this document with you. I'm telling you, for going further, something more is going to happen. After this document has been collected, then what? A consolidated list of activities from that teacher or from that department is going to come to IQAC. So teacher, this is for one activity, but the teacher may have conducted 5 activities. A consolidated list in an Excel sheet will be coming. That is our document number 2 that we are going to see. So that list is going to come. So IQAC is not going to store these 10 pages. 10 into 100 is equal to 1000 pages. पागल हो जाएंगे हम इतना इकट्ठा करने में. That document will go back to the department. We will be having a consolidated list of the activities with all the necessary details. It would mean that one cupboard, I'm saying one shelf in one cupboard is sufficient for documentation for 1 year. If you can do that, IQAC will be a place where you can sit with sufficient space. And therefore, you are able to see this numbering mechanism starts counting out. So IQAC file number will be in which departmental file this document is present. Where is the extract of this particular file present in IQAC file number? Maybe it is 5A. In 5A, you will get this. Anything else that you wish to make a mention, you can make a mention over here. Now, lastly, what comes in? Who is the teacher? Name of the teacher. Who is the head? He will be signing out. Because who has created this document? That we need. I have written down PM Pahade has done it. But has he signed it over there? So his signature needs to come, without which accountability does not get fixed up. His signature comes. Head of the department, or if it's a committee of department document will come into picture. And IQAC coordinator has received this document. He will be putting his seal. He will be signing it out. He will be putting the date. And this document will then be returned back to the department. It means that department has created 10 activities, 10 documents were created. These 10 documents have gone back to the concerned department. Now, why am I saying this? Because the minute you ask for a document, there is a standard answer that comes from the department, from the teacher. We have already given it to you. It is with you. Why are you asking the same document again and again? This is one very, very common statement that is found in colleges. So you can return the document and say your documents are with you. The next point is that it is the department that needs the document for referencing. So they need to have that document. We only need for analysis. We need for writing down the reports. So the document is in the custody of the head of the department. The head of the department is responsible for his documentation, for his departmental documentation. And IQAC also knows where it has been kept. This is the way by which you can have the documentation of the teachers. But now, this is only with one document that we have talked about. Now, what is going to happen when there are multiple documents that I wish to make a mention of? So for which we need to come to this document, that is document number 2. I hope you are able to see this document over here. Document number 2. Now, what has happened? We have written down, we have filled up all the details of the first document, second, third, fourth, fifth. This is a consolidated list prepared in Excel. For example, serial number 1, activity number 1/PMP/Zoo/2021. Name of the activity was lecture given by Dr. R.M. Patil on carbon chemistry in environment and its effects. List of documents submitted. Everything is from that first document only, but now it has come in a consolidation. Invitation, thanks, participation list, photo, report of the activity, feedback analysis, this has been provided. Who is the coordinator of that activity? Mr. PM Pahade is the coordinator of the activity. In which criteria is it? It is in criteria 7. Then the second activity was in criteria 3, third was in criteria 2, the fourth one was in criteria 5, the sixth one was in criteria 7. The 10 activities have been written, they have been submitted. This consolidated list is prepared in Excel with criterion number. This is the big part that I want to tell you. All the 10 activities which we have seen over here, this is one activity. In the same way, 10 activities have been done. Ye sari 10 activities, now they are to be seen here in this document number 2. You have prepared the list of these activities. Now, once this list has been prepared, this document will be signed by the head of the department. It will be stamped by the IQAC and signed by the IQAC, and the principal will also sign. Here the principal will come. That would mean that the number of signatures that the principal has to do are far lesser. Per department, only one signature is coming. This sheet of Excel will be sent to IQAC after the first activity documents have been checked. Once they have been checked, a hard copy of this will be given to the department. It will be kept in the department with stamp signature that these 10 documents have been submitted by the department. And IQAC will have this sheet. If there are 10 departments, 100 activities have taken place, IQAC will have 100 activities in one sheet, one below another. Sare departments, all department activities have come in this 100 activities in one sheet. Once it has come in one sheet, what is IQAC now going to do with this? IQAC will go with a simple tool called as SORT, sort tool in Excel. Sort criterion 1. All the sheets of 1 will come, all the activities of 1 will come together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uski ek print nikal ke rakh do, take a print of it, keep it with you. All the 100 activities that have been conducted by this small college are here in 12, 15, 20 sheets. In a sorted manner. In criteria 1, we have done 5 activities. In criteria 2, we have done 18 activities. In criteria 3, we have 62 activities. In criteria 5, we have 20 activities. In criteria 6, we have 8 activities, and so forth. With this, report can be written. IQAC has minimum papers. Originals are with the department because they need it. The letter here has been taken from the head of the department. The letter states that the above listed documents are in the safe custody of the Department Public Committee. The documents are a property of the college. They will be provided on demand to IQAC or the college. Name of the head of the department, file name, file number, record filed by IQAC, in which file it is kept, IQAC coordinator signature. Who is accountable? The one who has created the document is accountable. Who is taking care of the original document? The department that has created the document is taking care of the document. Is IQAC aware of it? 100%. Can IQAC write a report with the help of this? Yes. What if IQAC wants the original document? They can tell the head of the department, please send document number 25 in file number 5, 2021. That document will come over there. The document can be checked. The reports can be written down. The documents can be sent back. This makes this entire system a very accountable system. Because see, because IQAC only collects documents, it becomes a dumping ground. IQAC many a times does not have sufficient number of people to find out the right document. And therefore, the one who has created the document is responsible for the document, and not IQAC who has collected the document. So IQAC needs to have a mechanism, has to create a mechanism which is accountable, convenient to all, and with minimum papers. If IQAC is going to keep this document, it has to make a Xerox. That is not an original document again. You are plus spending on paper, you are spending on space, and you are creating a lot of unwanted material. Plus, you are creating some more problems. That is, when again you want to ask for that document, the teacher there is going to say, "Humne to pehle hi diya tha, we have already given it. Why are you asking it again and again?" And we are not in a position to say whether it has been submitted or it is not submitted. So don't collect. The owner will have the document and we will make him accountable. This is how IQAC should work. And that data now you have classified it further into criterion wise. Maybe you can classify it research wise, you can classify it department wise. The way you want to classify it, you can make those Excel sheets. When the work comes, it must come in Excel sheet itself, so that analyzing the Excel sheet becomes very easy. And with minimum of paper, IQAC is able to work it out. Keep in mind, the first document has to be prepared. The first document has to be signed. So first document is always going to be prepared. Now it's only a matter of where to keep that document. So the one who prepares the document should be the owner of the document, that document should be kept in that department because they need that document. IQAC does not need that document. Once the report is written down, IQAC may not see the document again. IQAC needs to analyze the document. And for analysis of the document, you don't need the document if you have all the data of the document with you. All that we need to do is to check the genuinity of the document. That can be done very meticulously, and once that has been done, and once the accountabilities have been set up, believe me, documentation becomes a very happy process. I wish to give my own experiences. I was an IQAC coordinator from 2008 to almost 2017. And after NAC got over, that is, I decided that whatever happens, after NAC gets over, documentation needs to be made better. The year NAC got over, that is in 2012, when I asked for documents, it was almost, there was a fight with me every day. Very senior teachers used to say, "Why are you asking for it?" And then there are so many small things that used to keep on coming in. For example, there was a soft skill program conducted by one of the departments. And 8 teachers had participated in the activity. And the report that came from 8 teachers was that I have conducted a soft skill program. Whereas there was only one soft skill program that was conducted. There was a coordinator. The coordinator also said, "I conducted it." The teachers also said, "I conducted it." That was duplication of the data 8 times. So I asked them, how many times it has been conducted? Everyone said, I conducted. I said, who was the coordinator? Then it came that Dr. Mrs. Sathe is the coordinator. I said, the activity report given by her is the final report. What did you do? I conducted 1 session. So that does not mean you have conducted the soft skills session of 30 hours. You have conducted it only for 2 hours. So look at the fun. Data duplication and data incorrectness was troubling me tremendously over there. It took me a long time to understand what is going on. And when I tried to say, one person is already giving all this information, why do you need to give it again? There were big fights. You are taking away our credits. So there could be many things that keep on happening. An IQAC coordinator needs to look at these aspects. Purification of the data, having the right data, creating a mechanism to see to it that the correct data comes in. Correctness comes with facts, for example, that I have made a mention. These are the very ordinary things that reflect in the NAC report, and giving data over there really becomes a problem. On which date was that conducted? When I took the charge, there was one Mr. Mathur who had conducted a session every year. I tried to keep on finding who is this Mr. Mathur who comes and talks on cost accountancy every year. When I asked every teacher, he said, we don't know who has conducted this lecture. I did not conduct it. It was there in the AQRs for 4 years. So, and I could never find it. Data incorrectness, because when you have given, that was information. This activity was conducted. From an information, when you try to go to data and you say how many students participated, in one report it is 42, in the other report it is 62, in the third report it is 46. You never know the truth. You don't know what is the date. You don't know who has conducted it. You don't know what was told. You don't know from where he has come. If I am having these problems, NAC will definitely have. That would mean what? That would mean that you are providing a fake data. So therefore, data correctness, data purity counts. Every time when the document is being collected, the document needs to be assessed very rigorously and very shamelessly. We should say this is incorrect, this is insufficient data, correct it and come. Doing it once, twice and thrice. For 3 years, I had big problems. I was perhaps the worst man in the college. But in the 4th year or at the end of the 3rd year, there was a great news that came to me. One teacher came to me and said, when are you collecting the document this year? We have kept it properly. So persistence of the document of IQAC really counts. At times you become a very bad man. You are hated, you are avoided, and I had become so shameless. I had been to a lady teacher over there and asked her, I want your document. She said, you will get it tomorrow. Then I asked her, will you give it to me? She said, yes, I will give you. The next day I went, the 3rd day I went, the 4th day I went. Then she said, it is at home. I said, may I come to your home to collect that document? She said, no. I'm spending a little time, but I'm trying to tell you, if you want to do documentation, there are some ethics that IQAC needs to follow, without which a good documentation cannot take place. If you are going to compromise with your data, with your friend's data, somebody is going to shout. And if you are going to be very ethical, everybody is going to shout till you persistently show that I still want it this way only, because that is the way NAC expects it out. With this, we'll just look into some other sheets and then we can go for question and answers. There are some more sheets. To me, 1 and 2 is a very important sheet because 2 is the consolidation of 1. Now let's look into document number 3 again, that is over here. It is research documentation. Now this goes with the individual only. This does not come in document number 1, activity report. This does not go with activity report. This goes with the individual teacher. Document 3 that I have made a mention over here, it is name of the teacher, name of the department, year. Number of research projects. Are you a principal investigator? So if you have 2 research projects, then in that case, whether it is completed, whether it is ongoing, whether it is sanctioned. This is for research project number 1. The second one would come, second research project, whether it is completed, ongoing, sanctioned. Who is the principal investigator? What is the title? What is the funding agency? What is the duration? What is the amount? This has to be filled up by the individual teacher. This has to be kept in the department. This is to be with the individual deputy teacher also. For research guideship that you are able to see, name of the student, research topic, funding student, by the student, on completed, ongoing. This will be for one student. If there are 5 students, this would be name number 2, research topic number 2, funding by the student, completed, ongoing. The 3rd student, 4th student, 5th student. This is how the research guideship details will come in. Papers presented in conferences. Serial number, title of the paper, proceeding of the conference, name of the conference, whether it is national or international, year of publication, ISSBN, ISSN number, affiliating institute who has conducted this, and what is the name of the publisher. These are the details that you need. What are the awards that a teacher has got? Name of the awardee, name of the award, name of the awarding agency, year of the award, and in case the institution has incentivized anything, that incentive needs to come in over here. Everything would come with proofs. Research paper, same is the case over here. Number, title of the research paper, name of the author, department, name of the journal, year of publication, ISBN, ISSN, indexed and with an impact factor, all that would come in over here. Plus, whether it has to be either a UGC care listed journal or an international journal. It cannot be a predatory journal. Same is the case with books. Same is the case with patents filed. Same is the case with whether you have created any industry research linkage. These are the only things that are needed from a teacher for research. For research, this document number 3 plays an important role. Now, what I want to tell you over here is, this goes with the IQAC. The mechanism of document collection will be different from the mechanism the report is going to be written down for the AQARs or for the SSR. Because if we give the same formats, you will find that those formats come as nil formats. There are many questions that do not go with the format. They do not go to the teacher. So he starts writing nil, 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 not applicable. And it becomes a big problem to us because so much of paper is being wasted on one side, and so many irrelevant questions are being asked to the team. That makes the team here apne ko to acha grade milne hi nahi wala. Rather than that, collect all that data that the teacher has done, and IQAC or the committees can fill up that data at the right place. But let that data come with information, data, and proofs. These are the things that I need to make a mention over here for a good report to be written down. Lastly, though not very important, and it reflects only once in 5 years, and that happens to be what are the teaching methodologies that we write. This is a big problem that I find. Most colleges write anything and then they don't have the proof. So every year, if a sheet of teaching methodologies is collected, it will help us. What can be the proof? The teaching method that you are taking, it should reflect in the attendance sheet as date and topic. This is one thing. So when we take an attendance, at the base or at the top, we write down the date on which the lecture has been conducted, along with it, what teaching method it was, black and blackboard, whether it was a PowerPoint presentation, whether it was games, whether it was what. That is your strong, solid record that is being created. Your attendance is a very strong record. Then, if you have conducted an activity in the class, maybe you can have a photograph. If you can have a geotagged photograph, nothing like it. See to it that a feedback form is made and a feedback analysis is done. Write it down in your teaching plan teaching method can come into a teaching plan, and the method that you have conducted can come into that diary. In case you have gone for visits, put in visit reports, any other proof that these are the proofs that can be used. And while writing down, how can you write down? This is just a reference. You may change these formats. These formats are for free from the cluster. Anyone can use them. You can reform them. You can modify them. You can circulate them. You can make it and sell them as your own property. We have nothing to say. Serial number, date, topic, methodology, nature of methodology, whether it is participative, experiential, problem solving. These are the three methods that NAAC asks for in 2.3.1. Name of the teacher who is conducting this activity, class, and number of students. Make this sheet. This gives you an idea as to how many teaching methods you have used. This becomes important because our student is an adult learner. He comes with experiences, and therefore our teaching methods will change because our experiences need to match with their experiences. Then and then our teaching becomes a fantastic process. So these are 4 documents that a teacher needs, is what I have tried to keep in this particular documentation session. There are a variety of formats that are needed for a variety of purposes in NAAC. But then, if the raw data is being maintained in a right way by the teacher, this data can be used at the right place wherever it is needed. The data needs to be created properly, that is, the teacher needs to fill in proper details. The data needs to be assessed very critically. The proofs need to be checked multiple times before they are accepted. The document should be with an accountability who has created it, who has seen it, when he has seen it. It needs to be signed out. And all this data should be maintained properly with the original department so that they can use it again and again. All my sheets have my numbers and have my mail ID. You can always communicate with me whenever you want to. So I think so. Now we can take questions.
Shall I read out Pahade sir? Or
yes.
Ram Subbai garu, you have somebody there.
Sir, please do it, sir. No problem. Please do it, sir. Please do it.
There is one question, you see, Pahade sir, you see, that caught my eye. And I too will be enlightened, you see. How come a professor, Dr. Meena to everyone, how come a professor focus on teaching if such extensive documentation is required by NAAC?
Pardon me?
How come a professor focus on teaching if such extensive documentation is required by NAAC? She means to say...
No, I got it. Yeah. I have a question to ask to her. When the teacher passed her 10th, does she have her 10th passing certificate? Does she have her graduation certificate? Does she have all her research papers with her? Does she have all her PhD documents with her? Does she have so many documents that she has created with her? She, he, whoever is the person. The answer is yes. What I want to say is, we are very selective with documentation. All these documents that I made a mention are going to help me to grow my salary. But the document that I'm creating for the college are not directly going to help me to raise my salary. Documentation needs to be a part and parcel of what we do. Documentation is not something out of space. If I am teaching, I must take attendance. If I have taken the attendance, I must analyze my attendance to see to it that how many students were absent and who were absent. If my students are not sitting in my class, I must see to it that sometime they are going to get checked out. why you are not there. Should be a routine process. Documentation, because we have not given emphasis on documentation all these years, we are facing a problem.
Pahade sir, one more issue. You see, she says, why don't you have a separate team for documentation and permit us to focus on quality teaching?
Quality teaching goes with documentation. If you are a good teacher, you are going to create a material for analysis. For example, if you have attendance mechanism which is conducted very rigorously, at the end of the term, you will understand how many lectures have been allotted and how many lectures have been used. On which topic, how much time have I spent? This analysis is a part of our teaching learning process. Unless we create our documents, each one, by the way, let me tell you, who is a member of IQAC? Everyone is a member of IQAC. For convenience, some of them are into the team. Which teacher will like to say that tomorrow's lecture should be more horrible than what it was today? Everyone will say my tomorrow's lecture needs to be better than what it was today. So we are into that quality team only. So if we are not, very simple, we are extremely quality oriented. The ladies over here who cook in the house, they are also housewives. They will first, they won't cook 20 chapatis at one time. They won't mind cooking extra chapatis. But they will say how much food yesterday remained. What is that? That is a quality check. If you are not going to eat, I am not going to make. This is what we do in our house. This is how we document it over here. The other day I had made 12 chapatis, 4 remained. Who's going to eat it tomorrow? That would mean that we have this documentation. We prepare a list of kirana that we want to purchase. We analyze what is remaining in the kitchen that is not to be purchased in the next session. We are excellent documenters. We are not using that technique for college.
There is one more question, you see.
Yes.
Vimala, will you do it or shall I? Go ahead. Okay. Kindly explain the general guidelines for preparation of departmental inputs.
Pardon me?
Yeah. The general guidelines for departmental inputs. There is one Shivakumar asking this question.
Okay. That needs a separate session, but
yeah.
They are not so general. That needs a separate session. But it's those guidelines. There's one thing that all that you do, if you are going to keep it properly, it makes a good teacher's diary written down every day. Is a wonderful document. It helps you to prepare your documents very well. All that you have done that day, just keep on writing it down. Maybe you don't have a proof that minute over there, but if you have written it down, some proofs can be created. See to it that every time you take a lecture, there is a attendance sheet that you have. If it is possible, see to it that you take signature attendances. And also see to it that someday you check out the signature attendances. For example, when a signature attendance, I have a hybrid attendance mechanism. Sometimes I take PPAA and sometimes I give a signature. And once that signature has been given, I collect it and then I start reading out whether this person is present or not present. Because the friend feels like signing for the other friend. So there itself he gets eliminated out. And then this does not happen again. But then if you have that mechanism with you, a lot of things start changing out. This documentation is not something out of space. Documentation is what we do every day. All of us know how much gold we have. All of us know how much amount of money is there in our banks. All of us know how much money is there in our pockets. All of us know when our licenses are going to expire. What is this? This is documentation only. Only thing is we are not applying it to the college, to our work, because it does not matter us. The day it starts mattering us, we will be far more precise than what we would be at home. Yes, please. Any other session? Any other question? All these sheets that have been done, then they can be kept on this in the cloud, and because you are not going to Xerox them or you are not going to print them out, therefore a single copy is there. The original is with the department. The remaining material can be on the mobile, on the cloud, wherever you wish to keep it, on the computers. Yes, please. Any other questions, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Sir, there is a question from Ammani Sivaram. She asked this question. It's a pertinent question as far as I'm concerned. Can the same program be shown under two different key points? Can the same program be shown under two different key
Yes,
points?
you can show it, provided you are reflecting two different aspects of it. It is quite possible that somewhere it can come in, but it should not happen that every program is being reflected in every criteria. Then there is a problem. But it is quite possible. For example, I'll give you the numbers itself. In 1.3.1, we have made a mention of enrichment, that is in criteria 1. Enrichment in the curriculum, where you are talking about gender, you are talking about environment, you are talking about ethics. Maybe you have conducted a workshop on gender, where all your students have participated. This can come in 1.3.1. In 7.1.1, you are able to see gender sensitization. Programs are being mentioned out there, also it will get reflected. So there it is reflecting out as to how you are making your students aware about gender. Here you are making a mention how you are correlating those aspects with your curriculum. So you are linking curriculum to gender at one point of time, and at the other point of time you are linking the student mentality with the gender. So it is one activity that is reflecting at 2 points. That's possible. But it cannot happen everything being linked everywhere. Then it's a problem.
Sankar sir, do you have any questions there?
Are all of them answered?
Subhay sir, go ahead.
Yes, Imran. Sir, there is a question from Dr. A.K. Sagina.
Okay.
She asks a question like this. Sir, can you guide us on the flow chart of an activity in the college, in the department, from the inception to the documentation?
I could not get you.
Can you guide us?
The flow chart of documentation, that's what he is referring to.
That is documentation from
the inception
any
to the
activity
documentation.
Inception of the teacher or inception of the year?
Sir, can you show the documentation in flow chart? That's the gist of the question.
Okay. You can show the documentation in flowcharts for sure. But then you need to create those flowcharts first. For example, documentation, departmental documentation for teachers, departmental documentation for students, departmental documentation for committees, departmental documentation for many more things. It can be shown, it needs to be created. And it will be created It will be created by the concerned department. We can help them in case they want it. That is possible.
Okay. See, there is another question from Ms. Gomadi. Is a software or ERP necessary for effective documentation?
It's
Enterprise
not
resource planning, you see, that was covered.
I can understand this question possibly could come up with respect to its affordability. This is one part that comes into picture. But there can be no doubt that an ERP is of no use. An ERP is always of any use. ERP will always be useful. And I wish to tell you something very, very fantastic. Modern College Ganeshkhind has done this during the lockdown. They created an ERP. Their computer science department itself created an ERP. And now all the lectures are on the ERP. All the sessions that are conducted, the lectures that are conducted by the teachers are there as a recording on the ERP. I mean to say they have put up the links and those links open up with the YouTube. So they have saved space over there on one side and the student can review the lecture whenever he wants it. Now that becomes a great advantage. See, I am not in the classroom today because maybe I am sick. But now, though I am not there in the classroom, that does not mean I have missed everything in my life. I can go over there, open the lecture, see the presentation and get the benefit. So ERP is useful, definitely. Definitely, ERP would be useful. But when it comes to its cost, whether it is cost effective, that can be one aspect that can come in, definitely. That needs to be thought out by the institution. Yes. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, sir. Sir, any other questions, sir? One question I can read out. That will be the final question from Dr. P.V. Chaitanya Sudha. Sir, which format of document we can use for NAC and ISO, both without duplication?
Pardon me?
Which format of document we can use for NAC and ISO, both without duplication?
Yes, you can use. You can definitely use. ISO also says that you prepare your documentation the way you want it should be effective. Our objective is to create an effective documentation, nothing more than that. And even ISO makes a mention that you check the document again and again, PDA cycle that they make a mention of it. What are we saying? We are actually saying the same thing. See to it that the document is assessed in a right way. See to it that the document is rechecked. See to it that the document is made pure. The purity of the document counts. That's what we are saying. So far as that document is giving all the details, so far as it remains as a love letter even in the future, it is acceptable. It is acceptable. It is, what happens is we keep on focusing on the formats and not the contents. So, that is what happens. I will like to give one small example over there that in Maharashtra, there's a sweet dish called Puran Puri that is prepared out. It's a stuffed roti with puran, with a sweet, chana dal sweet. A lady could not prepare that Puran Puri very well. It's a skill. So she was talking to her neighbor. She said that, come to me. I will tell you how to do it. I make it very beautifully. So when she was going to prepare it, she called her. This lady came over there. The lady was explaining everything, how to prepare puran and how to stuff it and how to prepare it. But what did the lady who wanted to learn see? She saw that the pallu is on the head. The message that went is that if you have pallu on the head, you prepare good Puran polis. So we talk too much about formats. We need to see that whether the content in the format is right. This is what I mean to say. I'm not talking about Puran polis. I'm not talking about anything. All that I want to say, very often we focus more on formats. You can create your format. This is an example that I have given you. You can create your formats. You can make them extensive. You can make them better. You can see your requirement and create your formats. The format becomes very important rather than the content is very important. And therefore, why is a format there? Format is for accessibility of the content. What is important in that format that we were talking about? Day is important, date is important, title is important, who has prepared it is important, what was the content is important, how it was delivered is important. We only talk about format, but we need to see to it that whether that format is answering to all our questions. It may be created in any way. You can create it. It's not that it has to be done in this particular way. It has to be ISO way. It has to be XYZ way. No. Your content matters. Whether it is supporting, whether it is helping you in answering the questions of NAC is what is going to be important. Yeah. Any other question to come in? Any live questions? Hand raises?
No. What about Ram Subbai Garu? Anybody from FTP enrollment? Any more questions?
Sir, it is only in the chat box, sir. Almost
almost
all the questions.
I think I have one more question myself.
Yeah. Please.
I'm amazed to see, by the way, Pahade sir brings out, you see, new graphics. Wonderful PPTs. I do not know how he manages. Does he do it individually? Madam helps?
Yeah, I do it my own.
Harish, should I believe you? Wonderful, you see.
I don't know this. How to answer this question.
I envy.
My PPT is my document.
Wonderful.
I don't have any other document with me. There is one thing.
I think you have
when we try to make it, there is one thing, when we try to make it participative, the listener is able to enjoy the session.
Exactly.
And second part is that if we can relate it to the person who is attending the session, it becomes a useful session. If we don't do that, and if only we are going to keep on talking out, then at one point of time, our listening ability is for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So once 20 minutes are over, the story ends up. So then it's only a session going on. So if we don't want that to happen, every 20 minutes, there should be some break to come in, some foolishness to come into picture, some activity to come into picture, some question to come into picture, something else to come into picture. Once you do that, this applies to our basic teaching also. This applies to our teachers also. This applies to us also. So keep on changing your strategies within the session. That makes things better. Even in a 40-50 minute lecture, see to it that somewhere a question goes to the student, somewhere a question is taken from the student, somewhere an icebreaker is kept into picture. Something is being done so that attention span is being changed constantly, is being focused on. It is difficult when it is to be conducted in an online mode, because it is also difficult for a person to sit at one place for 2 hours.
Yeah, you're right.
So these things have to be done again and again so that they are able to pay attention.
But using, you see, the documents, it's a very novel experience, and I think, you see, it's hands-on experience. I wish the participants would go back to their colleges and try to do it.
And they have all the freedom to modify it.
Yeah.
Change it according to their convenience. Okay, this is what was good to me, it does not mean that 100% it will be good to you. You can always change it the way you want to. You can even brand it that you have done it. We have nothing to say.
There is one question from Dr. Palani. You are always speaking about documents and marks and teaching. What about employment opportunities? For the teachers or for the students?
Sir, he is our staff. He is heading the Department of Economics in our college.
Aided staff member?
Aided, sir.
Okay, is perhaps talking about the opportunities for his students. Okay. But I am also interested in opportunities for our part-time and self-financed staff.
I wish to say something about it.
When are they getting regularized?
Shankar sir and
he is sailing in the same boat, sir. He is also a unionist.
Go ahead.
Ram Subaiya sir, I wish to say something.
Yes, sir.
The matter is, I feel there are unlimited opportunities. The problem is whether we are able to tap them out. And the best example, Shankar sir will agree, is the cluster itself. The cluster has created so many opportunities. But then, unless we are going to go out of the box, we are not going to do anything. Ram Subaiya sir some time ago was describing me in the introduction. The 7 habits session that I conducted, it was is in such large numbers. And there was a time when I used to conduct that session early in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the late evenings also. And for the industry, when it used to be conducted, the same session used to go on for 8 hours. You need to think more about what you are going to deliver, how you are going to deliver, who is in front of you. Unless we are going to be in a fluid state to understand what the things are going on, we cannot get opportunities. You cannot say 3 saal ho gaye, you have done your graduation, you are successful in your life. What else are you catering? How else have you prepared yourself? And what are the experiences we as teachers are giving our students so that they go for an independent thinking is going to create opportunities. I'm warning, I would make a mention. There is a warning called 5G warning coming into picture. Or with the coming of 5G, in 10 years, India is going to have huge unemployment. Huge to the extent that don't feel surprised that teachers will not be into services. Forget teachers, lawyers will not be in position. Forget lawyers, the anesthetists and the doctors will not be into position. So many things will come into picture. Wherever 5G has come, there is a big problem that is, it will start changing from a rickshaw wala, it will start changing from a fruit seller, it will affect a maid who is working in our houses. So unless it is we should be 5G warned. Now, if this is going to happen, many new jobs are also going to come, which we even don't know what they are today. But then we are to prepare our generation, looking at the fluidity of the situations. It would mean that we need multiple skills and keeping skilling, upskilling and de-skilling all the time. Rather, that's the only general rule that we will be having. If I am going to say classification in zoology is like this, I would be a foolish man, because the parameters are constantly changing. So on one side, the teacher needs to keep on upskilling himself with a variety of skills needed within the subject, related to the subject, with what is changing in the industry. Nothing is going to last for long. Just the other day, there was a news that a self-driven car was going without lights and the police did not know how to stop it. And how it was going, nobody knows. Finally, somebody came. If it's a self-driven car, they came to know at one point of time, it's a self-driven car. If you go and stand in front of it, it will stop. And then it stopped. And then the police took vehicles from all the side and tried to find out who's inside and whose vehicle is it. But if I put a logic that if it's a self-driven car, it does not need lights. It's a machine. Why does it need lights? It still holds well. So,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So anyway, we are spending a lot of time here and there.
Yeah.
And
we have still one more minute.
Yeah, fine. So if there is no question, we can stop then.
Shall we go for water?
You
Yes,
can
sir.
sum
Water
up.
thanks? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, in case you look into the chat box, a lot of appreciations coming and pouring in the chat box.
Okay.
And a known person of mine, and she has made a comment like this, like an excellent presentation, an eye-opening session. An eye-opening session. And she's Gayatri Suklu from the neighboring institution. She made a comment like this.
For me too.
And yes, sir. It is highly, there are some comments like very nice session, presentation, and highly thought-provoking session. Such a way you have, we received a lot of comments for this session, sir. I would rather say that it is it's a virtual platform, and the chat box was sometime was disabled. But at 5:30 we enabled the chat box, and see that for the next 10 minutes earlier, when the moment we opened, there were a lot of questions. But see there, the moment we opened at 5:30 till 5:40, not even a single question posted there. In that sense, we could understand that it was a very spellbound session, sir.
Thank you.
He's the president of the cluster.
Yes, sir.
What do you expect?
Very spellbound session, sir. A very thought-provoking session. And I would rather say that there are so many things that I have written here that, as I said in the beginning, it is a huge process. It's a huge documentation. Is a huge process, Herculean process. But see there, this 2-hour presentation transformed all the participants, transformed all the IQAC coordinators, as you rightly said. This tedious documentation process, a happy process in future. Definitely, there would be a happy process in the future. Sir, I would rather say that it is a very solid, and I would rather say that a calm and composed presentation, sir. A very calm and composed presentation, a very comprehensive and very extensive presentation. And this documentation has rescued us from massive heart attack. It would rescue us from massive heart attack in future. Such a way that you said that documentation is the heart of the organization. Definitely will not have in future even the first documentation. See that I have been here, for the last 6 years, I have been the IQAC coordinator. This one document is enough, sir. This one document, the first document is enough to collect all the data. And I understand that all the colleagues of mine in the college are going to blame me that he has not given us such documentation earlier. So they are going to blame me. And I feel very sorry that this would have been, I regret, why didn't we conduct it so early? Why this IQAC cluster is not exposed or is familiar? I have been the member of IQAC cluster for a long time, since it is in Telegram, and I didn't notice it for a long time. And now I regret and realize my absence in the IQAC cluster. At this juncture, I thank Lily Goda madam. Rightly, she has hooked me in the IQAC cluster India, sir. And such a way, it is a wonderful presentation. And as Sir said, it is a hands-on experience with hands-on experience with a lot of illustrations, with a lot of examples. And such a way you said all your experience, 30 years of experience, that we could see that. Even I could see that there are 656 participants today, 650 participants. And at this juncture, I would like to quote what Sankar sir posted in the chat box. Documentation policies are like rails on which a train runs. So on which an institution runs. Sir, I would like to sum up like this, that Sankar sir said in the beginning, asked the opinion of the conveners about this FDP. How is it going on? Sir, one of the senior most professors and working in the neighboring college close to mine, and he made a comment like this, that you would enjoy it. As a founder member of the IQAC cluster, you would enjoy it, both of you would enjoy it. And he made a comment like this in one of the WhatsApp groups. FDP conducted by Subbu and Golda, the FDP is firing on all cylinders. FDP is firing on all cylinders. This one express in this enough, sir, for the success of this program, and such a way that every day we have butterflies in our stomach. But see there, every time all the speakers of IQAC cluster, they now they keep raising the bar and accomplish things such a way that both the institutions, on behalf of the management, on behalf of the participants, on behalf of the colleagues here, we salute to you, sir, for accepting our invitation and for your collaboration with these two institutions, sir. Thank you so much.
We will like to add a comment to it.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Our live sessions go on for 8 hours.
Excellent.
And they are very much appreciated.
Yes, sir.
There are some limitations when we are on an online platform, but in an offline platform, they go on continuously for hours together. A single speaker keeps 200, 300 participants mesmerized for 8 hours.
That is
just with one lunch break.
Yeah.
Sir, even now you see that there are some comments, sir. Even in the last minute, even in the 11th, we have some comments like this. That shows the success of the program, sir. See, there is a madam says, Tiba, we were impressed when he sent those forms beforehand and understood his planning and efforts. Not many would share their knowledge. Thank you again, sir. And then,
thank you so much.
Yes, sir. And then another madam, Meenakshi, she said, very true, sir. All the sessions are very useful and informative. Very insightful and helpful for all of us. So on behalf of the institutions, I thank Cluster India, IQAC Cluster India, and both Sankar sir has been with us. Like in Tamil, we used to say it as Karpasami. Karpasami and Sodalaimadan, as you are being with us, you are the savior, as we said, mentor. And see some of the questions now.
We are treading in the footsteps of Pahade.
Yes, yes, yes.
Pahade, sir, president. Our president.
Such a way, whenever there are some complex questions, he used to answer the questions there itself. And there, no postmortem for such questions. Thank you so much, sir. Very kind of you.
Thank you so much.
We'll leave now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, ma'am, thank you so much. Gauri sir, is Gauri sir is there?
Yes, I am here, but I can't start my video now.
Sir, sir, we didn't notice it, sir. Extremely sorry, sir.
I'm out of my home. That's why I can't start.
And we are extremely, sir. We didn't notice you, sir, but we are given host, sir. You can speak a few words, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sankar sir, are you there? Sir, okay, sir. Everybody has left. Shall we meet tomorrow, sir? Ma'am, Salvini?